Hey guys, this is Those Guys with their host Matt Marrero along with their other host.
Tristan Walter.
And Tristan Walter. What are we talking about today for this special edition of it's Anna Saturday, by the way, but we're delaying it going out a day after because we're actually having the Halloween in July is Anna Saturday coming out the day before because I've recovered somewhat from my vertigo. So, Tristan, what are we doing on this episode of Anna Saturday?
No, wait. Dragon Ball Super.
It was an ultra super power is what Kale kept on saying. And I was like, we get it. The show's super. I'm not Kale, Caulifla. And it's like, we get it. The show's super. Jesus. Give me 1 second, by the way. Just gotta. Okay, you're good. Sorry. So I'm going to come back in. 3, 2, 1. Yeah, so, and if anyone doesn't know, I posted it on our Those Guys Play YouTube channel. Didn't post it on Those Guys on the Radio because I didn't think it really affected as much. But I recently had a huge vertigo spell, and I'm taking some medication for it. So I'm getting a bit better, but I'm still having some trouble. Thankfully, I was able to watch Super because for a bit there, before I had the medication, I couldn't even look at a screen. It was that bad. So I couldn't even work on anything. That's why Halloween in July got delayed and everything. You know, all of our Those Guys stuff got suspended for a bit. All of our teacher production stuff was just put on hold for a bit. And I'm somewhat better. I just can't move my head around as much as I would like, which is great, recording this on a microphone, looking down, slightly moving. It's perfect. I love it. But Tristan, let's talk about Super for a little bit. So,
Okay. As long as we keep the circle formation, Matt, you'll be fine. You won't have to move your head enough. And
right.
Thankfully, you recovered enough where you could come with me to the tournament of power.
Right.
Our universe, relies on it.
Right. The tournament of podcast. Yes.
Exactly.
Yeah. It's just us against other podcasters. All we're doing is talking.
Oh, God.
But yeah. So we're doing episodes 96 to 101, which I want to say, holy shit. Super broke the 100 mark.
Yeah.
Did you, look, obviously you and I thought, yeah, Super was going to go far. So saying to you, oh, did you think Super was going to get past 100 episodes? I know your first thought is going to be, well, yeah, duh. But it still feels special, you know?
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe it's just me, someone who remembers the bad times, the 64 or 63 episodes of GT. Right? Like, just having that very, very short run kind of just end the series on that note. It's just, what?
60-ish? 63? 64?
I think it was 63 plus the special that I actually liked, A Hero's Legacy.
So much longer than that.
It did, didn't it? So having that there and having us being able to do Super. And even though, yeah, I know, it had the 2 arcs that were basically just movie adaptations, but but you know what? It still survived. It thrived even with that. And we've gotten to something that's good. And it's kind of funny because, I have some complaints about these few episodes. I do, as always, there's some things that I didn't enjoy, but the reason why I'm so happy about this and I'm really praising 100 plus, woo, keep going, is because look, we got through the movie adaptations, arcs. Even though I like the Goose stuff, we got through that. It was a 2-parter, but I still understand, or 3-parter, I think. And I understand how some people were really anti-Goo. If you remember the Goo planet where they became Goku and Vegeta. And the Future Trunks arc was pretty awkward and weird. But we even got past that, and we've had 2 successful tournament arcs that have been pretty fun.
Yeah.
So I'm really enjoying this series, and I'm happy to be watching it with you, Tristan. And I want 100 more. I hope this isn't the end of Super after this arc.
Right.
But back on to the actual episodes themselves. So how did you feel about the pacing of the tournament? Because I think you and I don't know if we feel differently about the pacing of it, of the fights and how because it's supposed to take only 48 minutes. So this whole tournament's supposed to only last 48 minutes, apparently.
Yeah.
So how do you feel about the pacing thus far?
I mean, now that we're actually into the tournament, I feel fine.
Okay, so you were yeah, you just wanted to get to it cuz I have to
Yeah,
admit
pretty much.
96 was such a troll. Like it was such a troll job. And I know that shonen anime, especially ones that involve tournaments, you're going to say, on the next episode, it's going to be the tournament. And you know that it's not, but I really feel like that exhibition between the gods was just their way of telling us, "Hey, fuck you." It wasn't bad. I'm not saying it was a bad fight. I just think that Toei wanted to say, "We don't like you for watching Dragon Ball." No, look. I love Toei, right? I love their anime. It's just, why would you do that? That is the weirdest way to make filler. It was unique, I'll say that much, but it was the weirdest way to make filler for an
I
additional.
mean,
Yeah,
I felt like it felt like a few minutes extra build up for a throwaway joke. Because like they make the choice, they make the joke. It's like, oh, we should test the arena and blah blah blah. It's like, yeah, all right, fine. And then the great priest turns around. And it's like, that was a great demonstration. I think you put the Xenos to sleep. Yeah, you did, and you ruined the ring. So yeah, get to fixing that, and I'll see you in a little bit. I hope it's ready. And they're like, what? Wait, what?
that all took like I think 5 to 8 minutes, and it was just like, what? Did you just really just do that for a joke?
Yeah.
A joke that I found funny, mind you,
Oh
but
yeah. Yeah.
it still was so long. I was like, are we really? We just did that. We really just did that. So I was not happy about that. I understood everyone kind of intermingling, but kind of getting frustrated at each other and kind of like butting heads before the tournament. I did like that. It's just that extra time there in the beginning. I was like, wow, you really are just lying to me. Like you're just
Okay, guys. So our universe is about to be erased. So let's follow the game plan that that Gohan and Piccolo have, painstakingly put together to, try and ensure that, you guys make it out of this.
wait a
In
minute.
one piece. On
Wait a
the
minute.
other end.
Okay, no. I have to. I'm sorry. I have to say, it is a smart plan, but you can't say that it's painstakingly thought of. If it like, I'm gonna question Gohan's degrees if he was like, my ingenious plan is a circle.
All right. I mean, fair enough.
No. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Let me rephrase that. It is an ingenious plan, yes, actually, to be fair. But to say that he took so much time to think about it, I'm like, I cannot. I have to question his degrees.
Well, okay. I mean, not just the plan itself, but like different tag team attacks that the other people could
Yes.
do together.
Good point. Good
I
point.
mean, to include that in his planning, because yeah, the circle defense is like that's 10 minutes to come up with.
Yeah, it's just
Yeah.
like, maybe we could be a square. No, honey. That would leave you open to attack. You're right. An oval? Getting there.
Closer.
Yeah, getting closer. The letter 1. Well, so many things wrong with that, honey. Don't know where to start. And I assume he's running these by Videl.
I would. Yes.
who was honey in this situation?
Um.
Krillin. But
I'm not gonna lie, I had Piccolo in mind.
no, Piccolo's dad. He was running it by his daughter, and his daughter. He was running it by Videl, not Videl. He was running it by Pan, who is just, by the way, Pan completely can speak in English, just fine now. Knows the language super easy. She's Gohan's kid.
I was gonna say, you'd think Japanese would be your first language, but I
You
guess
would-
technically that's not. Like, they're in a different world, so yeah, that doesn't work right off the bat anyway. But yeah.
Haha, you've worked yourself into he hurt himself in confusion, everyone. But no, look, I'm just trying to say that while because I wasn't getting on the plan necessarily. I was talking about like,
Yeah.
what did you think about like how do you feel about how the fights were spaced out and things like that? Is what I was trying to get at. Like, do you think, like, are we getting to those silly anime trope again where it's just 48 minutes and you're like, right, of course? Or do you think that the way they're spreading the fights out, it kind of makes sense.
I mean, the way, because they had said it in one episode, like, oh, you know, one episode was basically like, well, it was funny, I was laughing in my head. One episode where Goku was fighting, they're like, oh, a minute has passed, and I'm like, so we're going to have a minute pass in each episode, so this is going to go 48 episodes.
Honestly, it would make sense if they actually did that. Not even kidding.
Yeah, like, as much as they have plenty to work with here, I don't think they could have this go on for 48 episodes, and I don't feel like they should.
And that's something I like. I actually no, because I think that okay, there was the filler again, just those Kai's fighting. Filler like that was really bad getting into this tournament. But I feel like now that they've gotten into the tournament, they actually are getting things done.
Right. Yeah.
So I'm actually really happy the fact that this might go on until maybe 120, maybe another 19 episodes.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah, like something like that. I think that would be good.
Right. The one thing I don't like about the pacing though, and it's not this show's fault. Many shows do this. Some shows do it better than others. I think Bleach has had its moments where it's done it poorly, like this show, or it's done it a bit better. Where, you know, you have a multi-man or multi-person or multi-being tournament going on right now. So many different beings are fighting at once. So many are biding their time, just like some of the Z fighters. From the looks of next episode, it seems like Universe 2 has really been biding their time because you haven't really seen a lot of their fighters until what seems to be next episode. And it's not a spoiler because you saw the woman from that universe standing there. So there are a lot of people, like you assume, like, oh, Frieza, Frost, definitely Hit is pretty much just chilling around until someone kind of comes up to say hi, and it's like, I'm going to take you out, right?
Right.
So clearly they're biding their time. But it feels weird when, and this show hasn't said that they haven't done this, so I have to assume that they're doing it this way. When the show shows one fight, then jumps to another, and it seems as if they've said, this fight isn't going on at the same time that this other fight's going on. They're going on one after another. And that's weird to me because putting aside the time limit thing, right? Although that should be the main concern that I have. Putting that aside, it just seems weird that, like, you can't follow everyone somewhat close. Where, like, oh, if, and I know it would seem weird with some of the pacing, but, like, in the traditional television sense. But yeah, when you have a multi-being tournament like this, when Kale turns legendary and goes nuts, we should immediately see the Z fighters freaking out. We shouldn't have to wait a full episode to be like, so what's going on with them?
Right.
Now, again, you would assume that would be going on around the same time. But I believe you saw them okay after Roshi and Tien had taken down a guy with the totally not Mafuba lightning attack. And when you saw that happen, that's when, I know, Tristan, it's not the Mafuba, I know.
No, I know. He technically used that attack before he ever used the Mafuba, and he used it against Gohan, wow. He used it against Goku in the tournament arc in Dragon Ball. The first one, I believe?
Oh,
yeah,
wow.
It was Jackie Chun.
Oh, wow, I had forgotten about that completely. Wow, so you know what? All right, Tristan here for the win. I love you, Tristan, because I was talking to you about this before the show, so I want to thank you for, because I was wondering, like, if it was an old attack that they brought back or they just made up a new attack for him. No, because it's been a while, and I haven't read my manga in a while. So,
right,
yeah. So kudos to you for that, because I assume they would want to, like, pay some, like some lip service and, and do some fan service in that regard. But at the same time, I was like, hey, they can bring up a new attack, and it looks, we can't deny, though, that the lightning strike attack he used, his stance and the animation used looks like the Mafuba.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Similar, yeah.
Very similar. But clearly the Mafuba stole that. So, like, it ripped that off. It's the reverse. But anyway, my point is that when that fight happened, that little mini scuffle, that little skirmish, then they showed them being okay after. So it makes
Right.
you think that, wait, are these things going on at the same time, or are they literally cutting to one after another? Because then every time you're focusing on, even if you're focusing on like 8 people, there's still another potential, if not 40, because some people have been thrown out, like
Right.
30 or 20, 5 or 24, or even just 20, that are just, you're just kind of sitting there like, well, what are they doing? Because if they're all just constantly punching each other, or many of them are, then you're gonna get tired.
Yeah.
Also, a little like, I mean, maybe they'll revisit some stuff that they brought up earlier on during this tournament. But when they have 17 and 18 come out and go, right, we don't get tired. We might not be the strongest people here, but we don't get tired.
Yeah.
It's awkward to me that, one, they wouldn't have a team combo. They might be saving that for later. They wouldn't have a
Right.
team combo on the spot, 17 and 18. And more importantly, you would barely see them fight. Yes, you had 18 with Krillin, but but they didn't focus on the fact that she doesn't get tired. It was like, oh, I guess she's gonna get a ring out, and I was like, wait, I know you're not gonna eliminate her here because you just mentioned the whole not getting tired thing. I would hope you wouldn't, but you kind of sit back and you're like, could we have that be a thing? Because it seems like no one else is tired yet, and hopefully it starts to develop over time. Now that it seems like we've gone into what seems to be a second phase
Yeah.
of the tournament. But what's really weird is it seems like it's the second phase of the tournament, but it doesn't seem like it's actually stopping. So it seems cosmetic just for us, the viewer, not for the actual tournament participants.
Right.
Like, it seems like to us, it's like, oh, the tournament is going into second gear, but it's not actually going into second gear for them.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
It feels like a few of the, I guess technically the only way to think about it, like a few of the weaker opponents have been knocked out. Like, I know that they've basically focused a lot on Universe 9, which I don't want to necessarily call them weak outright. Yes, they might not be the strongest fighters, and yeah, they're not exactly the best natured, beings either. But because they used their head and they actually did use their teamwork for a while. Granted, they got sloppy, and even Vegeta took advantage of that too, which was finally nice to see because they were getting. As much as I applaud them for using their heads, they were getting irritating.
Yes, I'll give you that. They really were, and that's what I like about this tournament is that you can have some fighters like Roshi actually get some shit done because you just need to use your head.
And then even with I forget which universe it was, but the ones that rely on like data and are feel like very highbrow and like, oh, we're smart and you're not, with all the robots.
Right.
Like,
I can
even the one
confirm.
that's like, oh, the super survival strategy. Yeah, the one where he spins around really fast. Really? That's your big smart...
Well,
That's your big smart-ass plan? All right, fine.
right. The one thing I want to confirm about the universe, though, we don't know their name outright, but they are assholes. We can confirm that. I'm pretty sure it's canon. I'm pretty sure we can confirm it. They are definitely assholes. The spinning strategy, though, here's the thing. As silly as it sounds to turn yourself into a human Beyblade or, into a robotic Beyblade, it makes sense that, when ring outs are a problem. In fact, I thought he took out a bunch of people just by spinning.
Right, yeah.
But then they...
Yeah, he took out a few, I think.
No. But he didn't. Like, he hurt them, but he didn't actually hit them, give them a ring out.
Right.
That's what I'm saying, because they would have went to the Zenos, and then they would have hit it on their God pad, which is not an iPad.
Right, that's... Exactly.
It's not a...
Oh my God.
You know what I'm hoping for? And I don't know, I have to look this up after the show. I'm hoping that Toei was smart enough to put out an app for kids.
Oh, jeez.
No, but I'm being serious. I'm not even kidding. They could put out an app for kids to check out the tournament stats on their phone.
Right.
Just like the Zenos. Because that's really what it is. It's kids looking at apps on their phone. Swiping.
Yeah, I guess that would be kind of interesting.
No, but because, granted, if they didn't do it, that's fine. That is money to make an app. But still, that's literally what they're doing on their phones, though. And that's why I kind of chuckled. They're literally just kids with a phone and apps. And they're just like, oh, that one got eliminated. Click.
Right. See, I took it, like, that makes sense. And, like, it kind of makes me laugh now that you brought it up. And, like, I'm thinking of it that way. But when the first time I saw them, like, oh, boop. And now they're gone. And it's like, they're not saying it that way, but it's like, all I can think of is like, you sick fucks, you're just taking pleasure in thinking of who you're going to erase next, aren't you?
Yes. That is, because throughout the show, I've thought, oh, they're just kids. And I've tried to tell you, Tristan, like, come on, man, they're just kids, you know? But in that regard, yes. I mean, granted, I've even said kids can be the scariest enemies in some ways. But yeah, in that regard, I was like, that didn't sit well with me. I was like, And of course, it was just trying to make it didn't sit well with anyone there. That was the point.
No, yeah, like even like I love the fact that the whole tournament actually stops. Like everyone kind of stops as they're just immediately, like as soon as they are all knocked out, they're like, okay, goodbye. And everyone's just like, oh, shit. Like, we all knew that was a thing going into this, but, like, it's different. Like, even the characters reaffirm the fact that it's like, yeah, it's different after it happens directly, you know, like, shit, this is actually happening.
Exactly. Once you see it, you know, in front of you, it is a lot different than it just, you know, like, the thought of it. You were mentioning to me before the show began that you thought that there was going to be a chance that because they brought out technology in some form, you were thinking they could potentially back up their, like, universe's information on the phones or something like that?
Well, yeah, I was going to say that maybe they weren't actually erasing the physical representation of the universe itself. Maybe it was more of, like, because I saw, like, in one of the previous episodes, I forget which, but you see the Xenos playing a game, and I could have sworn they were playing with planets.
Well, with marbles, and they were, like, pretending they were planets. But I see what you're saying, yeah.
And, you know, like, oh, you destroyed my planet. Oh, well, I took this planet. Or, like, chess with planets or something like that on a holographic board or something like that.
Right.
And so it got me thinking, like, oh, maybe they're going to make the joke. Because to me, that would feel very Dragon Ball if they made it, like, to update it to, like, nowadays where, like, tech, like, a lot of kids probably do have tech. And they just make the joke that, oh, you know, we're going to erase them, and everyone's like, no, and everybody winces. And then they look up and, like, wait, you didn't erase us? Yes, we did, in our game. And everyone kind of has that dumbfounded moment and that, you know, where they all fall onto their heads and their feet are sticking up in the air.
But then,
granted, it would take the tension out of the tournament, and that wouldn't be a good thing either so early on. Maybe as a surprise later on, it's like, oh, everyone's gone. It's like, what are you talking about? Well, you erased them. No, we erased them out of our game. They're all in the penalty box, and they just poof. But, I don't know.
Well,
I had hope, you know, that it would just... Because as much as I disliked, like, not, like, I love to hate them in a way, kind of. Like Universus 9's fighters, when the Wolves and some of the others actually got together and fought, and like I said, they used their heads instead of, you know, trying to overpower everybody else, I really liked the fight. It was an enjoyable fight. And when they were erased, it's like, look, I know some of them were assholes, and I really hate their mouthy Supreme Kai. Like, him, I was kind of like, yeah, you know what, whatever. But, like, I kind of felt like, you know, they didn't deserve that.
Well, it's funny. I would argue death, maybe, but being erased completely, that's a bit of a problem. The one thing I want to say about, like a huge issue, obviously, for them, they don't exist. One thing I want to say, though, about their universe, I think that universe specifically, though, at least the way they framed it, that seemed to be the most evil universe. Like, Frieza would have loved it there. That he would have a vacation home there.
True.
Same thing with Frost. They would both have a vacation home in that fucking universe, right?
Yeah.
But you start to think of other universes where you're like, okay, so I don't like Frost. So, like, Frost should go away. but should Hit and Kaba and Kali
Kalima
and
Kale
Kale, should
and
they?
Chaba too.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, should they go away? No, of course not. So that's, you start to think about the idea that just because there's a few people from that universe that you don't like doesn't mean that the entire universe
Right.
should just disappear. So it's something where you're speaking about downloading or like having copies or bringing them back or something like that. And we talked about in other podcasts as well, like, oh, the Spirit of Dragon Ball, the show wouldn't just kill them all. But I have to now double down onto it because I don't think I said this part in other podcasts, but when you have different universes being focused on leading up to the tournament, it makes sense as a story because you want to see their struggle. You want to see them, see them working towards the tournament. You want to know who they are going into this fight. Even if you're rooting for the universe where our guys are from, right? You even made it. You told me through, I think it was through a text message or something. You said to me, "I think I understand how people feel when they cheer for sports teams now, because you're not a big sports guy. I'm not either." But yeah, that's basically what the feeling is, right? Just, wow, I'm cheering for a team to win out of all the other teams. So, which I laughed at because I was like, yeah, pretty much. Like, we can watch Super together with a beer. We're over 21, with a beer, with some wings. Legit, like the game is on. But we can, right?
I know, yeah.
And,
oh God.
And you gotta come over soon, man. We gotta watch some Super together.
Oh jeez.
But that's basically what it is, right? So but that's the thing, when you focus on these other teams, right, from not our guys, before the tournament, it makes sense. When you focus on them during the tournament to the point where Goku is kind of half training them and becoming friends with them, it might seem like it's a bit too cliche or a bit too easy to spot, but I just have to say straight out, like, at that point, you're basically protected. Like, you're protected by the plot. Like, there's no way that a show could kill these characters off violently. I mean, if you guys just saw The Last Stand of Saturday, we did Attack on Titan. Right? Yeah, we did Attack on Titan for the last week of Halloween in July. There's no way that, you can sit there and be like, that character can't possibly die. I mean, unless they're fucking Eren. Sorry, we're not going to get into that right now. The point is that, obviously unless it's Goku, right? You can see a character dying, sure, okay. But this complete universe being erased thing, at this point, I don't think that, and I mentioned way earlier in this podcast, the Spirit of Dragon Ball would allow that universe to just be gone and have everyone be okay with it and have us all move on with the show.
Yeah.
Now, again, at one point, maybe, right? At one point, maybe, definitely with another show, but when you look at Dragon Ball and you look at the way that Goku is interacting with them, I think he even knows maybe, like, regardless, we're going to win no matter what. Universe 7 for the win. And then I'm going to bring them back with the Super Dragon Balls.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's what he plans on doing. We mentioned this last podcast. You told me before the show began, you also thought that was going to happen. You said it again because that's just a general... I think a lot of people online, I would imagine, are thinking that. Because I don't think people online are like, no, it's going to be a bloody war. Like, I think people who've seen this much of Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z know that they're probably going to do something like that. Just some kind of, some people will call it a cop-out, but I'll call it a solution. Because you can't just take out all these universes. You just can't.
Yeah.
But one thing I want to mention, and you laughed at this when I texted this to you. I said, like, oh, all the universes are weird. Right? Well,
yeah.
The reason why I said it is because not all of them have a general theme, but I think it's weird how many of them do. And I know that, stylistically, like, it's just funny and it's cute and we're supposed to laugh at, the I can't think of the Warriors, the ones with Toppo.
Oh, yeah, the Pride Troopers.
Yeah, the Pride Troopers are basically Power Rangers slash Super Sentai.
Yeah.
Universe 2 is basically Sailor Moon slash Pretty Cure. Like it
Right.
makes like it makes sense, right? You see that and you're like, yes, I get it, right? That's what they're trying to do. But it just gets a little weird in some respects because like I understand that with Universe 7 with our guys, most of them are from Earth. They're
Right.
all humanoid. So someone on the outside looking in will be like, yeah, but that's a general theme. Duh, right? But to me, I just feel like, yeah, but they're wearing different clothing and some of them are from different planets. Now, obviously, Topo's group, they're not all from the same planet, I would assume. But
Right.
it's just weird how like many of them are wearing the same and again that's a Sentai thing, yeah, but still it's just the styles that they have going on with some of these groups, like the ones that are more metallic and cold-hearted and calculating. You're like you sit there and you're like, is that from the same planet, or is that from the same fucking universe? Like what the fuck is going on in your universe
Right.
where
Yeah.
like all of you look like that mostly? So I feel like there were weird, I don't know, themes that they were doing that were cute in a 5 second thing. But once you actually start to delve into it just a little bit, because you have to see them more often, because you're in this tournament with them, you kind of sit back and you're like, wow, that's yes, our guys are all humanoid, but you have an Namekian, you have two Saiyans, you have a half Saiyan, you have Earthlings, but one of them has a fucking third eye. Tien is a third eye, everybody. I think we all forget that because of how long we've known Tien. But like, let's just sit there and just be like, yeah, people walking down the street are just like moms with their kids. Honey, don't stare at his third eye, but it's staring at me.
Oh my god.
It's staring right at me. Sorry, it does that sometimes. Like, we
One
forget.
staring into another.
Yeah, right. But yeah, no, I'm just trying to say that oh, and of course Frieza from, I can't remember the name of his home planet, but we have Frieza as well, right? Can't believe we've forgotten Frieza. It feels like in some ways the show has forgotten Frieza, doesn't it? I know he's supposed to be hiding out, but you see what I mean, right? Like, doesn't it seem like the show's kind of forgotten him?
Oh, you mean when he's fighting?
Yes.
Like during the tournament?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I guess I feel like he's gonna get focused on like towards like, cause that's the thing. It feels like everyone that is in that higher power tier, like, I mean, we've taken out a few Pride Troopers now too, but they were like one of the big contenders too. But like Hit really hasn't done all that much that you've seen. Jiren still hasn't done all that much. Even Topo, and I know they're both Pride Troopers, but like, you've seen Frieza, torture a, poor, pathetic character here and there.
Fuck that guy. Wasn't he? You told me before the show began. Wasn't he one of the guys that beat up Kale or?
No, that was a different character. He was.
Oh.
It was one of the characters with wings.
Oh, then poor guy.
Yeah. Oh, no, the later guy, I'm pretty sure Frieza takes out one of them too that was beating on Kale. It's like when Frieza like starts whooping him, I'm like, yes, you get
Right.
what you deserve.
Yeah. But no, I see what you mean. Yeah, and like I said, I know that he's trying to kind of bide his time. The fucking
Like, yeah.
dude.
I feel like Weiss has even said it too, like, because I know you had mentioned to me before, like, talking earlier as we were watching the episodes, like, it feels like they kind of go into a second phase, but like it hasn't, you haven't really seen the effects of the first phase yet. But it's basically everyone that has some kind of like sizable power, they've kind of been holding it back for like, because this kind of feels like the first round of like when they'd have a martial arts tournament.
No.
Like,
Yes, I'm not saying it's not. I'm just saying that it's more apparent to us, the viewer. Like they're not going to take a break for them. They're not going to fix the ring. They're clearly still trucking on. Just for us, the viewer, we're like, okay, the first round is over. Now we're getting into round 2.
true.
That's what that's what I was trying to say. That's what I was trying to say when I, like, compared to, like, they're not like, but it was weird though because the way that they were all talking to each other at the end there of 101, it felt like they were taking a break, and I'm like, but we're not though. Like, why does it seem like everyone is chill right now? We're still in the middle of this tournament. I know that it was a huge thing to overcome together, but we were still in the middle of a tournament.
Right.
That's why it felt weird to me. And I think it was just done just for like us, the viewers watching. Um, but no, you're right though. Like, they're definitely going to focus more on the stronger fighters as well. I just wanted to say that I was freaking out, and I mean completely, when Frieza was talking to Frost, because I know that we mentioned that on a podcast. We fucking called it.
Yeah.
We
I'm pretty
called.
sure you were the one who called it out first. And
Yeah, yeah, and we called it before it aired too, which was really nice. Because I'm pretty sure we were up to date when we did that last show.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, I fucking freaked out, man. I texted you furiously. I was like, "It's happening!"
Yeah.
Although it's just really funny because I'm sitting there and I'm like, are Frieza and Frost going to try and like put their fingers, because they can like do the like the finger blast to like destroy I don't know what the fucking move was called. It's not the phrase I just called. Please tell me what the name is called.
Wait, which, I mean...
The like the finger death beam?
Yeah, death beam.
Oh, just death beam. Okay. I
Yeah.
did not like the words that I used. But the
I
death
mean,
beam,
usually, like, that's what I've heard of. Like, that's what it's usually called in games. But...
you're right. Yeah, no, the death beam. I feel like they're going to try and like death beam Zenos. No, I really think they're going to like put their fingers to their heads and be like, if you care for them, you're going to give me an island somewhere. Like, I feel like they're going to try and do some stupid shit. Where like one of them's going to try and poison the Zenos or something.
Right. I mean, I mean, Frost. I don't know if he'd try, like, maybe. But I feel like, because Frieza at one point even looks up, and it was after Universe 9 got erased. It's like, it sickens me to see these brats think they can, get away and do whatever they wish. It's like, you will rule the day, but I will be ruling over you soon enough. And it's like, not that would be any better, technically. Probably worse, because Frieza would probably destroy so much more. I guess, like, that's kind of a funny thing. It's like, people hearing me talk about, like, I hate these kids, they keep erasing things. Did you forget that the Frieza, destroyed multiple planets as just an emperor? Like, yeah, boy, I mean, he's the evil guy, and, well, Goku put him down the first time and stopped him. I mean, he still committed mass murders and genocides, and it was terrible, but...
It's funny, though. I don't
got
think...
put in his place.
I don't think Frieza would erase planets.
Yeah, just make them suffer.
That's
under
that.
his rule.
You see what I'm saying? That's the thing. That's the weird, creepy thing about Frieza. I'm not saying it's better to be tortured, like that, but I do feel like he would want to destroy them. So erasing them, it's like, wait, they all just disappear? That's bullshit. I don't want that
what do
power.
I get out of that?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I just think he likes to rule. I just think he'd want to rule over them, which is funny because then that doesn't mean that he'd want an escape. I think he'd want to kill them, I guess.
Yeah.
But again, it's not going to work. It's going to be weird because the show is going to probably try and make that seem like a really big moment and be tense, and everyone watching, and I mean everyone, is going to be laughing like, wait, but that can't actually work though. Like honestly, the only thing they could even try and do is an escape plan where like Frost poisons one of the Zenos, and they're like, oh, if you let us go, just the two of us, and fly off somewhere and don't come after us, we'll give him the antidote.
Right.
Cause what are they gonna do? Poison the both of them and be like, haha, we're kings? Like, no, they're God of Alls, and even if they aren't, and even if you kill the God of Alls, which by God, if the kids died, I'd be so sad. Even if one of them died, I'd be sad. But it doesn't matter what happens to either one of them. What matters is that you have a bunch of gods of destruction around you.
Right.
If they're gonna try to put anyone in a hostage situation, I think they're sorely mistaken in how royally fucked they're gonna get. Literally, there's members of royalty there. They're gonna get royally fucked.
I mean, it's funny. I feel like Frieza and Frost working together could pull one over the Gods of Destruction. Not, not the Zenos or the High Priest Kai. I can't remember his specific name.
Whis' dad.
Yeah, there you go. Oh, great. Yeah, Great Priest. Whis' dad. Yeah. Like, I don't think they'd be able to pull one over on them, but I feel like the Gods of Destruction are, like, not that they're stupid, and not that, like, you know, like Beerus wouldn't see, you know, Frieza trying to do something like that. Like, I'm sure he'd kind of see it coming, but at the same time, I feel like he's confident in enough that, like, I can just destroy you. That Frieza would pull over something on him, and Beerus would be like, wait, you're not supposed to be able to do that. Because even Frieza demonstrated that when they had that ball of energy from a God of Destruction that he threw at Goku. Frieza was able to contain it, not for long, granted. So like a full-on fight, probably he wouldn't be able to withstand Beerus, but like he's got the workings, and he's like the wheels are turning in his favor. I'll put it that way. Something farther down the line is where he might decide to finally strike.
That's a good point. I'm just saying that he can outsmart them, yes, but when this is a show about punching, and all of them are relatively strong Gods of Destruction, and you have multiple ones.
This is a show about punching.
I mean, yes.
No, I know. I'm laughing at myself more than anything. It's like, yeah, you're right. I'm getting away with that, aren't I? I'm getting away from that, aren't I? And yet, that's one of the things I love about the show. You're right, Matt. This is a show about punching.
Yeah, all you hear in your head is you hear the soundtrack to Death Note, and you're like, Light versus L, and it's just like, this is a show about punching. But, no, look, what I mean by that is, though, it's just that, like, sheer strength, not only in numbers, but in power separately, mixed in, because even if he got one over on all the Gods of Destruction, you have Whis and a bunch of other...
True. Yeah.
You know, yeah. So I'm sitting there and I'm like, they could just murder the hell out of him.
Right.
But anyway, back to what's going on during the show itself. We talked about torture a little bit. Something torturous, I think, to watch that I didn't enjoy at all. And they literally need to either never do again or do it with some payback from the specific character or just characters in general. It wasn't a good look when those two beings, I forgot from which universe. I mean, they should both go fuck themselves either way. They're from the asshole universe. I don't know what universe it is, but now it's the universe of assholes. Sorry.
Funny, I think they were from, at least one of them was from 10, which made me sad.
Yeah. They both beat the hell out of Kale, literally turned her into a human punching bag. And I understand that in a tournament of power with beings of all different, just kinds, right? Not even just genders. I mean, arguably, you wouldn't even say that. I mean, it's funny. Goku said she's a female Saiyan, right? So, I mean, they did use earthly terms in terms of categorizing genders and stuff like that. But still, bunch of different types of warriors. And I get it, right? I'm not saying that Kale or Caulifla shouldn't get into the fight and that, you shouldn't have, I'm not going to sit here and say that it's sexist anytime anyone beat up Kale when she was in her legendary form, right?
Right.
Nor would I say that it's sexist if anyone's trying to beat up Kale when she isn't, right? I'm just saying that when you go to that length to beat her up like that for that long, even though you didn't technically show the blows, you still heard the sound effects, you saw the punches, you saw her reaction, it all came together, and it was sickening. Your thought is, oh, I can't wait until Kale goes legendary pretty much on the spot to take them out. Now, was it better story-wise, in another kind of way, to have her go legendary, and I'm calling it legendary because I don't know what else to call it other than calling it Broly form, right? Was it better for them, story wise, for her to go legendary on Goku? Yes. And had to have her say Son Goku, in my opinion, yes. And to have some of those scenes be recreated, not the best, but still okay, right?
Yeah.
Scenes recreated from movie 8, because a lot of those were fight scenes that they kind of just remade from movie 8 into this show. My problem is that even though I know that Kale isn't the main character of the show, when you have her get beaten up like that, in a tournament like this, when she has a form that she could, not that she can control, but again, that was a situation where you definitely wouldn't be able to control it, right? If she just, her form is kind of like the Hulk in a way. So you would expect in that moment for her, in a way, to Hulk out and to transform and to take them out. And even if it was briefly, in the same way that Broly had a kind of Super Saiyan form where his hair turned purple before going legendary.
Right.
But that didn't happen. She got beaten up. Caulifla came in, which, yes, you want to see her fight. I'm happy that she gets some time to shine. And she is her, Kale is her protege, after all. Keep on thinking Caulifla's protege. It's like, no, they're not. Protege is not partner, Matt. Kale's her protege. But you still have a situation where she got beaten violently for a long time. It wasn't just one punch. It was one punch, then it lingered, then it kept going. And for some reason, and of course you're supposed to, look, I'm not saying you can't build up bad guys and sit there and go, wow, I hate those guys. I want to see them get beaten up, and I'm happy to see them get beaten up. Hell, if those two just got erased, I'd be okay with it.
Yeah.
Right? Because they didn't need to punch her like that. They could have just thrown her off. They knew that they could have. They were toying with her, and that's another thing, that part of it that was messed up. But it's the fact that she wasn't a bad character. She's a good character. We're supposed to root for her. So you'd want to root for her to take them out, and it feels like she never got that redemption. And I think it was a huge mistake on their end, and it just didn't work at all, and it was horrifying, and it was terrible. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say it was sexist, right? Because I don't think that's the right word to use here. But it was painful. It's excruciating to watch. And I think it would be very hard to watch this. Obviously, as a man it is. But to, bring someone else into this who may be a woman, right? And just sit there and watch this, with her and have her kind of crunch up. But at least think in the back of her head, the same thing all of us are thinking. Yes, she will get her revenge. After all, she has that power up.
Right.
And then she doesn't. And you were telling me too, Tristan, over the phone before this. You were telling me that this was just painful, and it just wasn't pleasant. It wasn't supposed to be pleasant. Yes, it was not, right? But it's just because it wasn't supposed to be pleasant doesn't mean we're supposed to just accept it, because there was no payoff.
I mean, it still made me feel weird. Like, I was glad Caulifla came up and she got her shots in, and I'm pretty sure she at least knocked out one of them, but she tore into them like no tomorrow. But yeah, I feel like Kale should have definitely gotten her shots in too.
Yes. And I think the reason why, I probably shouldn't just pick, on like saying like, oh, watch it with a woman. Just watch this. Just try to show this to anyone, I think. Like, how can you show this to a person, right? Like, how could I think I'm going to watch this with my kid? I don't have a kid. But like, if I had a kid and I was like, let me watch this with my kid, I would feel really awkward if my kid, boy or girl, right, would watch this. And then they'd sit back and be like, so she's going to beat him up. And then she doesn't. Now, yes, you want someone to save her. And if that's what they were going for, well, then it's like, but she has a power-up. You don't want to think someone should save her. You think she's tough enough to handle it, because she is. So it's really weird. It didn't really fit with her power-up. And it just felt gross to watch. But let's move away from that. Let's move over to something else that's gross, but in a completely different way. Krillin getting knocked out of the tournament. Both that early in the way that it happened. And you know what? Let's add a third onto it. Everyone's reaction.
Yeah. I was not a fan of that.
And you know, sometimes you and I have disagreements on, you know, a certain situation. You and I will try to fan speculate or try to fan canon things in a certain way and be like, no, but this, but this. But I mean, I think we're both just in agreement, just 100%. We're in sync. We are literally like, what was the? It was like nail with sync or something, or sync with nail.
Yeah.
No, legit, we are in sync right now, because I cannot. Because look, usually I'm very happy about the writers being self-aware with some of the jokes in the fandom, or jokes that they're bringing up that I'm like, wow, that's a hilarious joke. You guys are just hilarious, and I really do mean that. Like, you know, the stuff with Goku in the tractor, Goku jumping through a wall like the Kool-Aid Man. Some of the stuff with Yamcha is kind of sad, but also kind of funny at the same time. Mostly sad, but there's some stuff that is funny with it. Oh,
It's funny. I feel like he would have had. I mean, he didn't see Frieza, but like, I felt like he would have had a more like, seriously, you guys brought Frieza back from the dead to like put in instead of me. Then again, at the same time, it does feel like Yamcha's kind of having like, oh yeah, I really hope they ask me, but secretly at the same time, I really hope they don't ask me.
I really hope they ask me so I can say I'm so sorry I can't make it.
Yeah, right.
It's so weird when
The
people.
universe will be erased if you don't. I'm sorry, guys. I got stuff to do.
I got a baseball game on Sunday. You know, it's just no.
Someone's gonna show up. No, I'm not.
So here's the thing too. Speaking of when Yamcha when he was hit with the ball and he was lying in the same position he lied in when he died.
Oh god.
No, like stuff like that. I'm like, these writers know exactly what they're doing. They're fans of Dragon Ball Z as well. I love them, right? But I think this was a misfire where they thought we can make a Krillin joke, and I wasn't having it. And I think a lot of people who are Krillin fans, you know what? I think people who even might not be the biggest Krillin fans, who are like, why is he even here, right? I would argue even those people would sit back and be like, but he was doing well, and why are we gonna have him suffer because he wasn't paying attention? When Goku doesn't pay attention a lot.
Right. Goku, like, I feel like he got grabbed at least twice. Because, I mean, Kale grabs him once when she's in legendary form. And then he got grabbed by that other guy that tried to drag Goku off with him off of the platform. And now, okay, it's a double-edged sword for me because I'm a person that was okay with the scene in Revival of F, or Resurrection F, that when Goku got shot from behind, without his knowledge that there was anyone even there, when he got shot from behind, even in God mode, with the laser, that it took him out. But at the same time, Goku's... he should... See, this is what I mean by a double-edged sword, because I feel like I'm putting my foot in my mouth either way, but, like, Goku should not be taken by surprise in this tournament so easily.
Right.
In the situations that he does.
Yes, and I argue that some of it is just him trying to feel people out, and he can't go full... Even if he has to, for 5 seconds, go into God mode, he can't then stay there for long or go to his highest potential in God mode because he has to tone it back because of the kind of fight that's going on.
Yeah, it's an endurance match, basically. Like, it's a royale, so he does have to hold off, you know, his power. Like, I get that, and that makes sense. Like, Goku's smart for that. So is Vegeta, too. It's like, no, obviously you're not going to need God mode to go after a lot of these people. But, in just, like, because even Beerus says it to him when that one guy grabs Goku and he tries to pull him off the edge. It's like, Goku, you have blue. You have blue God mode. You know you can get out of that, right? And he's like, yeah,
and he was
I know,
waiting.
but I'm trying to save my power.
Yeah.
And even Whis is like, it won't make a damn difference if you lose first, though.
No, so he was
In
waiting
those
for...
situations, it's like, Goku, God fucking damn it, just use it. You'd only need it for a split second.
No, but that point, that was actually something that mattered, and he did it for a split second at the end. It was just done that way to be more dramatic. The point that you
Yeah.
really are trying to push, though, that I understand where you're coming from, like the dog that you're actually trying, because like don't talk about this, because then people will easily attack you on it. The one you're talking about is Kale basically running right up to him.
Right.
That's the one you've been saying you didn't like a lot.
The one scene, especially like because they took it straight out of movie 8 too, when Goku does a Kamehameha wave and it kind of just brushes right off of her, and she keeps walking up. It's like in the Broly movie, it's like, yeah, Goku did that when he was a Super Saiyan, so it made sense and it was cool. In this, and I'm not saying I don't like Kale having these powers, like, I think this is a fun new way to bring the legendary form into canon. But when Goku is in Super Saiyan God mode, I'm sorry. She should not be able to just walk through that. I don't care if he is holding back. Like, because you've even said, like, yeah, he is kind of feeling Kale out, and he doesn't want to go all out until he understands, like, where her level is. But, really?
I think, and this is the reason why I said that they can't die. I think Goku's treating the two of them, Kappa as well, but I think they want to focus on these two because they're newer. Goku's treating them like they're Oob.
Yeah.
Which is funny because he hasn't met Oob yet. So this is kind of like it's like a foreshadowing.
Yeah. And, like, that would be cool. Like, I'm totally cool for them going to Goku to, like, yeah, help us train these powers. And, like, you know, Khalifa, like, you know, I'm only learning this so I can beat you up, old man. It's like, all right, bring it on. Because that feels fun. Like, Goku would do that kind of thing. And it's not like they're, you know, they're not malicious either. It's like they're not threatening to destroy the world with it. They're just saying, I'm stronger than you.
I know, but yeah, you're not a fan. Even with him doing all that, you're not a fan of them feeling like they're getting the one-up on him.
Yeah, because, I mean, in the sense, when he was fighting Khalifa and they were both Super Saiyan 2, I'm like, okay, they're on even footing. So if she gains the upper hand for a bit in their fight, that makes sense. They're at the same level. Granted, Goku's has more battle experience, but yeah, he's going to hold back a bit.
You're saying Caulifla or Kale?
Well, Khalifa, when Kale walks up to him and she's legendary form and he's in blue, like, if he was anything else but Super Saiyan, you know, Super Saiyan God, I would have been fine with it. But the fact that he went to his most powerful form and she just blew it off, that's a bit much.
Right.
And, like, the idea is it feels like it doesn't matter how powerful somebody is. At least to me, this feels like what the show is going with. It doesn't matter how powerful you are. If you're not either A, focused or not 100% in it, somebody else can still one-up you.
Which...
in certain situations, like I've said, like, I'm okay with that. But in some of the situations that we've seen in this tournament, it hasn't made sense.
Okay. I'll give you that. I understand where you're coming from there. What I think is a bigger problem, well, maybe not bigger, but another problem at the very least, is that, so I understand that the Legendary Super Saiyan is not canon, Broly's not canon, I get that. But the concept of the Legendary Super Saiyan is canon. So it's
right, yeah, this is what bothered you.
yeah, because I told you about this before we began the show. So it's a little awkward to me that Vegeta, look, I don't want him on his knees. I don't want to recreate that scene from movie 8. I wasn't even a big fan of that scene in movie 8. I understood it. I think I defended it on the show, but I still am not saying I was a fan of it. I just understood why it happened. But I'm not, like, I don't want to recreate that, but I still want him to be like, wait, you know, is that your Legendary Super Saiyan? Oh, shit.
Right.
Like, because, yes, in Universe 7's canon, Vegeta's the one who told Goku the story. There's a Legendary Super Saiyan.
Frieza saga.
Yes. Even Frieza was the one that was scared of it. Now, granted... yes, in their canon, they turned it into, oh no, that was just the idea, the concept of a Super Saiyan.
Right.
Right. But still, it could be like, you know, you can still say, like, wait a minute. So I heard it as a story, but then when all of us became it, I was like, oh, anyone can do it. But that might be like the legendary Super Saiyan, right?
Right.
You would hope that he would say that, but just the fact that he's just like, well, that's a strong person who's a Saiyan. Yeah, no
Right.
fucking shit, like Vegeta, what the fuck? So that's something that I wasn't the biggest fan of, I think. Just the fact that, you have that opportunity there to bring that up, and then they don't. Also, remaking, the reason why earlier I talked about remaking the scenes from movie 8 and I was kind of iffy on it. The reason why I was iffy on it is because movie 8 worked with, well, a movie budget. And it was drawn differently. It was, 2D back then. So it just looked better. Here we're working on a TV budget, limited constraints, limited just budget and time constraints, and it is a, it's, well, no, just saying it's, oh, and it's also 3D as well. That's what I was trying to go for. So I think just adding all that together, it just didn't look good compared to movie 8. So that kind of got me a little frustrated because I really thought that we could have done a lot with that. But
Yeah.
But
And So I'll backtrack a little bit. Like, what I did like about, because I feel like we've been saying a lot of kind of like, oh, I didn't like this, I didn't like this.
Oh
What I
God,
actually
that's true. Sorry about that,
did
everyone.
like about Kale's, because I like Khalifa and Kale, and I like that they have other Saiyans that are going through, the Super Saiyan transformations and all that. I love all this. I love the fact that at first, yes, she was, the first two times she awakens to this power, she goes berserk and she loses complete control. But I like the fact that once, Khalifa was talking to her, it's like, no, you are my protege. It's like, we're a team. We're in this together. Like, I'm counting on you for backup. And she transforms again, but it actually felt like it was just the Super Saiyan transformation. And I'm like, and she goes, oh, I'm in control of this. I have control of this. I'm like, thank you. Like, that's what I want to see. I want to see her basically, own her own powers. And granted, you could argue that it's happening a little quick. I mean,
Yes.
even Khalifa is going Super Saiyan 2 already. But, I mean, I feel like they've kind of got to scale them up fast, so I don't mind as much.
I mean, yeah, you can argue the fight, and you can argue that they've had the potential, they just haven't understood
Right.
how to.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I was happy that she went 1.5, and Goku was like, yeah, that's not good for
Yeah.
long term battling. I was like, oh God, they're basically.
Yeah, that was a very nice nod. I like that too.
Yeah. I think one thing that I think it is going a little bit too fast for Kale. I'm happy that they understood that she didn't take that long to recover, so we have to take it away for now.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, because it would have been weird if she could just go back to fighting normally.
Yeah.
But talk about things that I liked, right? Let's focus on positive things again. I really did like when the team stood together in the circle and fought against other people. Because the team defense, that's, of the Z Fighters in the circle, that is, while I made fun of it earlier in a way, it really is the smartest defense. And anyone who steps out of it, I still like them as a character, but they are an idiot. Like, they are. Now, I'm not going to say Krillin's an idiot because he went to go save his wife. No, that was a
Right.
beautiful thing. But then he should have went
yeah.
right back into the circle. The fact that he still stood there, I understand it's like, oh, I want to fight with my wife. But, dude, go back in the circle. That is when you were at your safest.
Yeah.
You weren't even beaten by a guy because he was tough. You were beaten because, again, in an environment like this, yeah, anything can take you out at any time. Go back to your circle. There's a reason why Roshi is still around. He's in the circle.
Right. To be fair, Frost is the one that came up behind Krillin and took him out, which honestly kind of pissed me off in a way. Like, I guess it was at least one of the more powerful characters, but the fact that it was the, other universe Frieza character, I'm like, God damn it.
Yeah, no, I feel like Frieza is just like, I thought I told you that I get the cue ball in the end.
Right, yeah, right, exactly.
How dare you?
Although funny. I love and hate the fact that Krillin took off his shoe to beat the blind Fox character.
I loved it.
Like, yeah, I feel like it nudges the joke that the manga. I don't know if they made. I'm pretty sure they actually made the joke in the anime too. But like, when Goku back in their first tournament, when he was fighting Bacterium, I think his name was.
When Krillin didn't have a nose.
Yeah, he's like, Krillin, you can beat him. Why? What do you mean? You don't have a nose. Right. Oh,
Dragon Ball humor is best humor.
Right, and the fact that Krillin is using the fact that it's like, oh, I have smelly shoes. Let me throw it at him because his sense of smell is boosted. It's like, I have a secret plan to defeat him. It's like, oh, all right. Wow, I'm going to get to watch my husband be really cool. Never mind. It's like, but you got to admit it was crafty. Yeah, let's go with that, honey.
I'll wash your shoes when we get back home. I'm married to you.
Well, oh yeah, that's the funny thing. You figure 18 of all people would have been like, so you're gonna wash those when you get home.
Yeah,
Like,
there's an interesting thing about the writing where I feel like they want to write 18 as a kick-ass, I'm gonna punch you in the face at any time because you're failing me right now, Krillin thing.
Right.
But it's also this weird dynamic where even though that's there, she still has to have the housewife
Yeah.
attributes.
Right. It's weird, and like I like this. Like it was a sweet moment when Krillin jumped out, because I was gonna be completely honest. I thought it was gonna be 17 that caught her, and when it was Krillin, I was like, thank you.
You honestly know what I thought? I knew it was going to be Krillin. I thought he was going to throw her back in with momentum,
Right.
and he was going to fall
would
out
go
for
out.
her.
Now, see, that, I feel like it would have been way too soon, but I feel I would have felt better about that ring out.
I would have been
Because-
pissed, but it would have made sense thematically.
Right, exactly. And then you wouldn't have 18 turning right around. It's like, oh, that was really sweet. Thanks for catching me. Oh, you get ringed out? Well, I'm not going to, I mean, granted, it was pretty quick, but it's like, I'm not going to help you, and then I'm going to berate you for it afterwards. Like,
Yeah, it would.
alright.
Yeah, it would make a lot of sense if that's why she would berate him for throwing her in, but not. Like, it would be one of those things where, like, no, you should have let me get out. Why did you try to save me? Like, I feel like that's something that she could berate him for, versus you saved me, and literally randomly you got beaten up, not thrown out by a guy who's really powerful, and then just again having, as we said earlier, having that joke where like everyone was like, "Wow, Krillin."
Yeah.
Like when everyone said "Wow, Krillin," I was like, he didn't get beaten up by Chaozu. Like,
Yeah.
speaking of, by the way, I wanted to bring up another fun joke from the Dragon Ball manga. Do you remember how Krillin beat Chaozu?
Yeah, trying to get him to add numbers, and he couldn't count. He couldn't count it on his fingers. He was giving him math problems, and he had
Yes.
to use his fingers, and he couldn't concentrate on his psychic powers.
Exactly, because he had to use arithmetic. I loved it.
Yeah.
I loved it. And it was like, no, Chaozu. Chan was like, no, Chaozu. And then Chaozu gets punched in the face.
Yep.
Oh my god. Yeah, that bringing back that Dragon Ball humor. I know that there's people on different sides about that. They're like, no, we don't like that kind of humor, and I get it if you don't like it, but that's the roots. Like that's where it came from. That's Dragon Ball humor. You don't have to like it, but that's the way Dragon Ball is. So injecting that is, I think it was fun. Like with the whole like, oh, he smells. The thing though that I really didn't like. And I'm sorry, I love Krillin, and I know you love Krillin, but we have to give him the Dumbest Ass of the Year award. When you can visibly see, Krillin can see, that guy has his eyes closed.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Look, I get
I
it.
wish we could have seen him use that technique and have it be successful, and then a second time if he went for it. Then you have a character that is like, I don't need to see to find you, and that's what his downfall is. Like, but no, we didn't get that. So then it just feels like Krillin. Yeah, then it just feels like Krillin. What the fuck are you doing?
I think I would have laughed really hard, like solar flare. What was it, like times 10 or like times 100?
Yeah.
Which one was it? Was it 100?
think it's 100. Yeah.
Yeah. No, just solar flare times 100. And he's just like, what are you doing? I can't see, but you hear in the background, my eyes!
Right. Yeah.
I've become blind! Just random people.
Well, because that's the second time Roshi, like you've seen in the series, Roshi gets his sunglasses stolen, and he's like, wait, when did he get those? 'Cause
It's-
he's like, here, 18, take these. Wait, why do you have... Oh, I get it.
Yeah, no. Yeah, the first time, it was Goku who did it,
Yeah.
and Goku
Oh,
gave them the Krillin.
right. That was another nice reference. There was actually someone from Yardrat. Or
But-
from their universe's Yardrat.
Yeah, that's always
Somebody
weird to
else's
me.
Team.
When, like,
That
they
was weird.
show... It's only weird to me because, like, they show another universe's version of species that I'm like, a lot had to happen to make you exist the same
Right.
way,
Yeah.
with the same powers.
Yeah.
No, but it was cool to see him. I think the funniest thing is just like, no one can take me out, just precise timing. You
Yeah.
have a pattern. You were kicked out the ring. Sorry. But no, yeah, but yeah, and it's funny too cuz yeah, the Kung Fu master. Also, I love the trope that cuz it's obviously a common, in my opinion, a common trope of like, oh, I'm a Kung Fu master, but I'm blind.
Right.
But I
yeah.
can still use kung fu. I was like, I enjoy that character type. It was just, and it kind of sucked to have him being beaten so quickly, but I don't think he was technically that powerful. It's just his senses were so heightened. Kind of like a Daredevil situation where like Daredevil doesn't necessarily have super strength.
Right.
His senses are heightened. So if you're stepping near him, but you're
Yeah.
behind a crate, he can hear the vibrations and technically see them in a way, and like sonar, and see past the crate to see you, right?
Because
But
he was from universe. I don't remember what the universe is, but the universe with the yellow mouse is the god of destruction, and he's like really underhanded and dirty.
That
He,
makes
like,
sense.
Sent the assassins out against Goku and Frieza. And
That
he
makes
did so much.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense that he would be from that universe. So,
Yeah.
but my God, I'm sorry, Krillin. Like I love you, man, but you get the dumbest ass award for. I understand that as a story, you might want to write in, oh, let's show the kids why. Because this is obviously a show for kids. This is shown on, I believe, a Sunday morning. Kids are watching. Parents are watching this with their children. I get it, right? You want to show the kids. Oh, even something like that wouldn't work. But it's kind of weird when is the solar flare Krillin's best technique? You would think Destructo Disc would slice someone in half. So it's weird
Right.
they're giving that to him as his best technique that has to be trumped. When again, it's such a large solar flare, you would think that other people would be screwed over by it.
Yeah, like I was gonna make the joke. It's like, Krillin, you took Roshi's sunglasses. Now he's blinded.
I can't see life. It's just, Roshi, are you better at kung fu? I don't know. Maybe. Punch?
I'd like to think so, but
You hit me in the face, old man. I got one. Someone? Just Tien? Roshi, that was Piccolo. I don't know. I can't see. But yeah, I'm sorry. I love Krillin, but I just can't stop harping on that. Like, dude,
yeah.
you could see, if they didn't show us that his eyes were closed, like if they didn't show the character's head or the character model's head, or if he had like a funky helmet on like the other robots before removing it and be like, I technically can't see.
Yeah.
Like if he had like the apparatus General Tao Pai Pai had originally. Do you remember like the weird binocular thing?
Oh, right. Yeah.
If he had that, I know it would seem gaudy in a way, but like we can't see. Why would he have it on? Why would he have goggles on or something? But if there was just something obscuring us from seeing that his eyes are, because I didn't realize that he couldn't see, but I thought he was at the very least like Gin Ichimaru from Bleach,
Right. Yeah.
where his eyes are like mostly essentially
Yeah,
closed. So I didn't think he was like Tosen. I believe Tosen was the blind.
Yeah, he was blind.
Yes.
Right.
I
But
didn't-
he had like sunglasses slash visor across.
Yes, yeah. So I didn't think that he would be blind like Tosen. I thought he would be like Gin, which technically, yeah, has his eyes closed, arguably. No, he doesn't really, but like it's a stylistic thing, but he sort of does, squinting at the very least. So like you would think, yeah, so you could do that to him and he'd be fine. But the fact that it's like, oh, I'm blind. It's like, really? He didn't have his eyes open. He didn't fucking have his eyes open. Anyway, like I've gone so far in the rant, I've forgotten we're on the podcast. Like I'm that mad about it. I just hit me again. I'm like, right, we're doing a show right now. But yeah, we're supposed to talk about nice positive things. It just gets into the fucking sunglasses and he's blind. But anyway, yeah, so that was a sad thing for Krillin. But I have to say though, I really did enjoy the fights, and I know it seems like we're shitting on this, but I have to say that I really did enjoy Broly. The idea of Broly, the essence of Broly being there, Kale being there as this legendary Broly form, if you will. I enjoy Frieza and Frost's alliance. I enjoy that Hit appears briefly just to then disappear into.
Yeah.
Same thing technically with Caulifla in that moment when Kale first de-transformed. It was like, let's disappear into the shadows. I feel like the ring should repair itself. I do wonder if after this episode with Universe 2, it sounded like I said Xenoverse, with Universe 2, I wonder if they're going to stop it so that they can repair the ring, which might seem a little off, but like the ring is getting so damaged that it seems like they can't even fight normally.
Right.
Like it seems like it's getting too destroyed, where like literally someone fell off because the ring is breaking. Granted, he was very, very heavy, but still, when the ring starts breaking apart, you have to do something to fix it. So I wonder what they're going to do to address that, because Kale's already had 2 transformations breaking it.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've had other dimensions. Which, by the way, the other dimensions thing. Do you also feel like the powers are getting a bit too much?
I mean, I felt like they were all like Sentai Rangers, so I felt like all of them were gonna have a different power.
Okay, good point. I mean, in general, it feels like the powers. It feels like, and I may have said this during the last tournament that they did, the last smaller tournament. I may have said it. It feels like Toriyama. If this, because I assume they're going to Toriyama for these ideas, because there is a manga about it. There's a super manga. I feel as if he's kind of going into, and I'm not saying it's a problem, but I feel like he's going into Bleach territory, Tite Kubo territory. Hey guys, so we had a little bit of a technical error there, but thankfully we are back. Now, Tristan, what I was asking you before everything went to hell was, do you think that Toriyama, or not Toriyama specifically, but Super is kind of, when it comes to people's powers, they're kind of going in a very Tite Kubo gimmicky kind of territory?
I mean, the only group that I kind of felt that way with specifically was like the Pride Troopers. Like each one of them had a different thing, but I enjoyed it. I didn't feel like it was much of a problem, so I guess my answer would be no.
Well, no. I'm not saying it's a. Well, yeah, your answer is no because it's only the Pride Troopers. I'm not saying it's a problem either. I'm just saying it's funny. I actually thought that was fun in Bleach when like every time they brought in a new group, it felt like they had like gimmicky powers. I actually found it kind of funny, but like certain things that they did or just certain moves that they had were just so different and unique and strange. I feel like it's happening more now than it did in Dragon Ball Z when they introduced like Frieza, where it's like, oh no, Frieza explodes things. Like they had different kinds of explosions and ki blasts, but they weren't like mind-bending, altering. Guldo had his little thing, but you know what I mean, Tristan? Like it feels like it feels like we're getting into like we have Hit now, which I know he's been around for a while. That's why I said I think I mentioned this in the other tournament arc that they did because we have Hit, but I also feel like I don't know. I feel like they're getting into different territory than what Dragon Ball, or maybe not Dragon Ball. Dragon Ball Z did. Dragon Ball did have some unique powers and unique people.
Right.
Yeah.
I guess it kind of feels like they're kind of getting back into that, like Dragon Ball feel a little bit more with people having like unique powers instead of just being more powerful than their opponent.
Right. You know what? That is a good point. Although another thing I mentioned, the reason why I brought up Kubo, and I don't think I mentioned this earlier on in the podcast, it feels like, and I know they have to introduce a bunch of characters. They're going for 10 characters per universe. There's 9 universes. Duh. You're introducing 90 people. Well, 80, 70, depending on how many you've seen in some of the, flash, like the build-ups to this tournament, and the people that we know. But my point is that even introducing that many characters, it does feel a little bit Bleach-esque in a way, where it's like you just end up having, every time there was a new arc, Kubo introduced like 25 new characters, and you were like, okay, I got to get to know these guys. So I think it's kind of interesting that this show has gone in that direction as well, where in Dragon Ball it didn't feel like that. Like, I mean, yes, they introduced an entire freaking army, but they introduced like what, 10 people?
Yeah, I mean the people who got any sort of character at all were usually generals.
Exactly.
There were only 5?
Oh, I thought there were 8 to 10, but I'm probably wrong.
There was Red was the commander, Blue, Violet. Violet really didn't get all that much. General White.
I'm terrible. I'm like, well, also I'm thinking of the assassins too, probably.
Oh, right, yeah. Yeah, so like there were some underlings that got a little bit more too.
Right. I mean, we got to see Tao Pai Pai and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just, I don't. I'm not saying I hate. I'm just saying that it's a different area where we introduce like 50, 60 characters at once.
Yeah.
That's new territory to me. And yes, they slowly introduce some other ones here and there, but that's not new for me. That's new for Dragon Ball. But anyway, I don't know what else to say about about these episodes. We've talked a lot about it before, technical difficulty, and I don't want to retread on anything. So is there anything else you want to say specifically about these episodes or about what's to come ahead?
I find it kind of funny, like, we're talking about all these characters being introduced, but there's only, like, a handful of them that I feel like we've actually really gotten to see.
Yet.
Yeah, yet, of course. But also, like, even I mean, we still got the Wolves, like, from Universe 9. They got a bit, the spotlight, but, like, most of their other teammates you only saw for a few seconds. Like, I feel there are plenty of other fighters from each universe that aren't really gonna get anything.
Yeah, they're gonna get those few seconds like that Universe 9 team
Right.
did, and then some of them are gonna get the Wolves treatment.
Yeah.
Yeah, the ones that we don't know about already, like Hit or Kaba or Kale or Caulifla. If you're not one of them, it seems like you're probably gonna get the Wolves treatment. Now, I don't know what's gonna go on with this second universe, but maybe they'll get some more time and it won't just be like a 1 to 2 episode deal. But
Yeah.
I don't know.
I'm really hoping we get to see more of Hit, because I love Hit.
Yeah,
do.
I think they're holding back not just because of power and stuff like that. I think they're holding back probably because of plot, because I feel like he's gonna have something to do with Frost against Frost and Frieza.
Yeah.
But I think more importantly they're holding back because they didn't just keep him in that tournament. They ended up showing him quote unquote killing Goku, if you remember that bullshit. So yeah, right. So it's not Hit's only time. Like, we've seen Hit more times than we have, I think, some other people, especially then seeing Hit in his own universe. So
But the funny thing is, to me, it feels like, when they did the Universe 6 and 7 just exhibition match, Hit was a big deal. Now, all of a sudden, you have, I believe it's Jiren from Universe 11 with the Pride Troopers.
right.
And he's even in the opening. So it's like, oh, you're a big deal. So, like, I almost laugh and feel like Hit just walk up like, oh, I'm sorry. Did you already forget about me? Goku, get over here. We're gonna finish this. No, hang on a second, Hit. I'm fighting somebody else. Like, Vegeta walks up behind him. Now you know how I feel.
All jokes aside, although it is funny, I think that Hit wants to be forgotten. I think he's
fair, yeah, I guess.
he's perfectly fine with hiding in the shadows. I know we've barely seen him fight, so we don't know if he's expended any energy, but he may have barely
doubt it.
expended. No, that's what I'm saying. He may have, no, but not like I'm not saying he barely expending energy to fight people. I'm in the fight. I'm saying he may have not fought anyone yet, or 1 to 2 people, just kind of waiting in the wings until Goku's at his weakest moment. As much as he wants to fight Goku one-on-one, it's a tournament to the death. So, he literally, like, well, he's someone that wants to, Goku has taught him, like, hey, let's fight one-on-one. Let's not, poison anybody here.
Right.
At the same time, I think Hit is waiting. What confuses me is the fact that can he not use his powers? Like, why have we not seen him use his... He used it to save his teammates, but is he... Like, I'm a little confused why he isn't just, like, pushing everyone off. Like, it's really... That's the kind of thing that sucks about giving someone that kind of power.
Right.
You have to really... Yeah.
Honestly, it feels like me. It feels like Hit himself has felt like, I don't need to use this yet.
Right. Good point. Maybe, maybe even though he said there's no limit, maybe there actually is a limit that he doesn't talk to us about. Because you just kind of wonder, why would he not just pause everything and push everyone off?
Right.
I don't know. Maybe it's just that's just maybe I'm interpreting the powers wrong. It's been a while since I've seen them, but it feels like you can just...
No, I see what you mean. Because I wonder if it would... He could focus on multiple people at a time.
Yeah, maybe that's what it is. He can only focus on one per, or like several per. So he's gonna wait until it counts, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like Hit and it was Giden or Jiden, right?
Yeah.
I feel like they're gonna go at it a little bit.
Yeah, I think so too. I hope they do.
Yeah. But anyway, I want to thank you all so much for listening in. Hope you guys had fun, and tune in next time for an episode of Anna Saturday. But I mean, we have some fun stuff coming up next week. So yeah, thank you so much. Love you guys, and take care. And don't know what you're listening to us through, but if you're listening to us through our Those Guys on the Radio YouTube channel, then please subscribe. And if you're listening to us through Blog Talk Radio, then thank you so much for listening. And if you're listening to us through iTunes, then again, thank you so much for listening. And if you don't know what those are, if you're like, wait, I'm listening to the other one, then you can find us on iTunes by searching up Those Guys. You can find us on Blog Talk Radio by searching up www.blogtalkradio, www.blogtalkradio.com/Those Guys on the Radio. Tristan, help! Everything's going dark. You can also on YouTube search up Those Guys on the Radio to find us there. So thank you all so much. Hope you had fun, and say goodnight, Tristan.
Good night, everyone.
Good night, everybody.